In our respective enterprises, we can engender private-public partnerships and address these looming issues and further potentiate long-term viability. Corporate institutions, for-profits, non-profits, we can work together, we can form a nexus, and where possible, with government right alongside us, we can become that wellspring of meaningful and life-affirming directives. We can collaborate for the public good. In problem solving, you must invite all of the stakeholders to the table and forge dynamic networks to subsidize resourcefulness. Even now, our president has petitioned for increased national service and volunteerism and tagged its importance by creating educational incentives for those who perform such work. Likewise, we must ask how, in the face of shrinking private wealth and contracting revenue streams, how can we incentivize relief? Can we partner with higher education institutions, corporate ventures abroad, or interface with faith-based organizations central to the communities that we serve and where potential donors may reside? I can attest that it was the Christian faith for me and the work under the auspices of Bet Hashem Yahweh Episcopus Worldwide Ministries that provided me with my first opportunity to travel abroad and witness faith in action. Dispatched to the Johannesburg and Soweto regions in South Africa, I witnessed how one person can be a change agent and thereby improve the life of another. I accepted that unto whom much is given, much is required. I felt mandated by a sense of indebtedness to give back, to sow back into the earth and equip the world's citizenry, because a way had been made for me, a great and a mighty way. Thus, I truly became a doer, a community builder, a solution maker, a teacher, a leader, a vessel, though I wore the hat of doctor. In responding to the call of faith heroicism, which is the act of taking on heroic issues, though daunting en masse, but doable in part, one must not relent in the quest for success or victory, but one must disarm doubt, displace despair, and remain driven because of a sense of unbreakable conviction. My grassroots outreach efforts in healthcare consultancy for the vulnerable and at-risk populations in South Africa indeed forever branded me. Upon returning to the States and completing my medical degree and associated training, I was no longer satisfied with being a physician, with being just a clinician, which is an honorable call. I needed to be a physician leader. You see, medical school taught me to treat, but it did not teach me to look to lead. Life taught me to look to lead. And though at times the waters may be murky or hostile, I still need to see my way through. I still need to see the deficits of my brethren and to go about crafting answers. This sense of passion and mission led me into a local youth detention center in York, New Jersey. I started out just volunteering and mentoring, but it evolved into a novel wellness program to combat recidivism and awaken within the participants their own leadership qualities. These buried attributes, when uncovered, furnish the residents with the abilities that can be paid back into their respective communities. And why do I tell you this story? I tell you this story because of the faces that you see here tonight. When leadership is brought out of an individual, it equips that individual then to go back to their respective homes, their respective communities, and to replay the process that was unfolded and enacted in their own life. These very attributes become alive by which a community thrives. People begin to be reformed in not just deed, but in thought process, endowed with rational decision-making skills and building capacity. The words of one detainee ring in my soul. One day, she blurted unashamedly, "My goal is to make it to 25. This 16-year-old wanted to live 9 more years that she might fulfill life. in work as a phlebotomist. As Owen toils to reach an additional 5,000 souls, I'm toiling to impress upon this one life that she can rise above the jungle, that she can rise above the lack which has tainted her outlook, that she too can fill a vacancy, that you too can fill a vacancy, that there is a solvability of every crisis. Solvability, availability. Recently, I spoke of the solvability in an instructional class as part of a larger childhood obesity initiative, My Body and Me. This initiative was started to reform overweight and obese children and their families. In this particular night's lesson, we were talking about emotional eating. And we spoke of when we cannot solve our emotions, we often look to come to grips or to counteract negativity by placating the pain with something immediate, something more accessible, something that's pleasurable, that will gratify, something less arduous, something more attainable. As I counseled the mothers and children before me that night, some with tears in their eyes, others stung by the harsh reality of the situation, I will counsel you the same way. We own the problem so that we can own the solution. And we look not to defer our pain or our guilt via a destructive means, but to constructively dampen the difficulties in life by taking control with the help of more equipped others and to steer our destiny a different route, to derive pleasure in the small successes, the mundane successes, in the lives rescued and given freshness and newness of spirit. So again, I emphatically state, and I enlist you in this pledge tonight, I, Chris T. Pernell, am available. And availability demands action, and action necessitates a way to perpetuate resolve. And I begin by seeking out the talent in my midst and garnering their commitment to present and likewise be involved, because the alternative is unacceptable. Despite personal struggles, despite trials, for instance, in this time of fiscal uncertainty, we must remain vigilant and not ambivalent or isolated. With adversity, our options are to ignore, to fear, or to leave. Humanity is waiting on our choice. We must choose, because the silence or the avoidance will be catastrophic. I leave you with these final thoughts. What we fear or what we deny does not have the power to make us who we desire to be. It is what we dream that has the power to make us into our better selves. I want to encourage you to dream, or better yet, to safeguard and protect someone else's dream. Leadership inspires you to dream. Leadership inspires you to be better than you are. Leadership inspires you to see the vacancy, whether large or small, to step up and stand up and speak up and grow up and give up, not give in, to train up, to fill up the void, to fill the vacancy. There may be a vacancy, but there is also a mentor. There may be a vacancy, but there is also a volunteer. There may be a vacancy, but there is also a friend, a saint, an investor, a donor, an angel, and yes, a doctor in the house. And I am that one. You are that one. We are those ones. Our cavalry has arrived. And behold, we see our own reflections in the looking glass. The whole and unwhole. The fed and unfed. The known and the forgotten. Side by side, shoulder by shoulder. With those found wanted, hoisted above and not underfoot. Good evening. Many blessings and shalom. And I thank you for being present.